everybody, and happy Monday. If you still have your morning cup of coffee, I invite you to enjoy it with me. Today is a holiday, so happy MLK Day for anyone celebrating, and happy day off for those that do have a day off today. As always, before we dive into today's content, hop into the comments section below, say hi and where you are tuning in from. Please tag some people, share this video. You can also say hashtag live if you are coming in on the replay, hashtag replay, so I do know to go back and say hello. And also, for those that did not know, we made the announcement the other day that the doors to our Expert Authority program are officially open. They do close on Wednesday at noon EST, and we have 3 spots remaining. It is a high-level, high accountability group coaching program where we take people through how to build their personal brands online, creating courses, writing books, podcast, everything that you want to do to be the expert authority in your space. 3 spots remain. If you'd like to talk, just drop in the comments below, I'd like to talk, and I can reach out and we can go from there. Good to see my buddy Mark from Reno jumping on. So as always, please do come on, say hi and where you're tuning in from, drop into the comments, hashtag live or hashtag replay. And we're going to be covering obviously something very important today. It's actually something that I asked everyone over the weekend, and it was the power of LinkedIn newsletters. And a lot of people, don't know too much about LinkedIn newsletters, or maybe have not fully taken advantage of them. But what I can tell you is that there is significant benefits to having a LinkedIn newsletter. And we're going to go over the 3 main reasons why. And again, this is a very powerful training for those that really want to get their business out there in a more genuine and authentic way. This is an incredible way to do so. A lot of people are just pushing content out there blindly. They're doing videos, they're doing posts. But in all honesty, newsletters in total are great. And, I'll be the first to tell you that, I've done everything out there as far as connecting with people on and offline. Podcast, book, videos, YouTube channel, blog. And the one thing that I did not leverage until about 8 weeks ago were newsletters. And LinkedIn now gives you the ability, with a click of a button, to create your own business branded newsletter. So, good to see people popping on. We got Cleveland in the house. We got Reno in the house. So again, before we jump in, hop into the comments below. Please do say hi and where you're tuning in from. Tag some people, share this video. Remember to engage in this video. Like it, love it, support it, whatever you would like, so you are notified when I do go live, which is every Monday and Thursday between 10 and 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there are 3 specific benefits of having a newsletter for your business on LinkedIn. Now, if you do have a newsletter on LinkedIn, type a Y or a yes in the chat box. If you do not have a newsletter on LinkedIn yet, type N or no, just so I can get an idea of how many people are actually leveraging the ability they have to use LinkedIn newsletters to their full capability and ability. So Y or yes if you do, N or no if you don't, because I'm going to teach you, number one, if you don't have one, the easy way to set it up and how you can all get one like that. And if you do have one, how you can do that. So I see a no. So this is it's a very easy thing to do. If you don't have a newsletter, all you have to do is click on the top part of LinkedIn. So if you're on the regular news feed, all you have to do is click on write an article. So on the regular news feed of LinkedIn at the top right, where it says start a post, you're going to see something that says write an article. When you click on write an article, it's going to give you either the option to write an article, and if you're given the LinkedIn newsletter capability, it'll say create a newsletter. So they're slowly rolling that out. And the best piece of advice that I can give people that do not have the ability to do one yet is to start with LinkedIn articles first, because if LinkedIn sees that you're being active in writing those, you are going to be more likely to get tapped in order to do so, to then write your own newsletter. Now, there are 3 specific benefits to having a LinkedIn newsletter. Now, the first one, when you have a LinkedIn newsletter, it gives you that brand and business recognition and visibility to start setting yourself apart from other people. So remember, we're all looking to do things online to separate ourselves from other people. So it really doesn't matter if you own the business, if you work for the company, if you've partnered with a company, it really doesn't matter. Good morning, Deb. Good to see you jumping on. When you have a newsletter that is catered towards your business, a specific demographic of people that you can help, it creates that recognition and visibility that we require to build that know, like, and trust with people online. Remember, so many people are doing the bare minimum to put themselves out there in a visible way, right? They're posting a couple times a day. They're, maybe doing a video here and there. But what you have to remember, the big key, is all of social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, all of those things. Social media is rented property. We don't own it. We don't own LinkedIn. We don't own Facebook. We don't own Instagram. It's rented land. So what you have to start thinking about is, how can I, A, build out my brand and big business recognition and visibility to create that know, like, and trust, where I can start building a thriving network and move them in some way, shape, or form offline, where I can create more connections with them. Because again, just remember, if there's another blackout on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn where they're doing data updates, or there's a blackout, so to speak, and the platform is frozen for 6 or 7 hours, how are you going to stay in contact with your network? If you're invisible offline or outside of social media, you really have to start thinking about, what is that journey that I'm taking people on in order to build that brand and business recognition and visibility? So if that makes sense, type a Y or a yes in the chat box. If you've come on late, please do say hi and where you're tuning in from, or hashtag live, so I can see who's on here. Would love to know who's checking this out live, but also hashtag replay if you are coming in on the replay. And again, just to make that announcement, the doors to our Expert Authority group coaching program are open until Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. So if you are that business owner that's ready to up level your business, we're only taking 10 people. We have 3 available spots only left. So if you would like to talk, just write, I would like to talk. So someone wrote, do you have an idea for a business? Scott and Nancy can facilitate bringing out your ideas being successful. I followed personally this last year many of their teachings with great success. Your success may vary, but I went from living on SS to having an offer to work in my idea in a large corporation and making six figures. Call Scott. He's the real deal to help you. Thank you so, so much. I appreciate that. Now, here's the big thing. What you need to understand, and I really appreciate that shout out. Thank you so, so much. It's privatized, so I can't see who wrote that. So whoever wrote that, just say I wrote that, just so, or your name in the chat box if you don't mind, just so I can give you some thank you instead of just seeing a Facebook user. But very grateful for that comment and that testimonial. Thank you so, so much. Now, so when you get that brand recognition and visibility, LinkedIn newsletters, thank you, Mark. You're the best. LinkedIn brand business and visibility and recognition is everything. It really, really changes things for you. So you really have to understand how that whole thing works. And having that branded newsletter catered around what you do. Hey, Delroy, good to see you jumping on. So I'm going to give you an example. My good friend Marlia Alpers, who some of you may follow on LinkedIn, she's a wine educator. She has a organic wine business. And I did a poll over the weekend talking about, do you leverage LinkedIn articles and newsletters? And she said, I got away from it. What people need to understand, if you want to target a specific demographic or an ideal client or customer. So in Marlia's case, if she really wants to target people on LinkedIn that love wine as much as her, they want to be educated on wine. You start a LinkedIn newsletter all based around, it could be called the Wine Education Newsletter. Wine education and information. And then again, so my newsletter on LinkedIn, just to kind of show you really quickly, my newsletter is called LinkedIn Tips and Updates. And I'll show you really quickly. So this is my newsletter right here. It's called LinkedIn Tips and Updates. And, right here, it says I have 5,100 subscribers in about 8 weeks. And this is a newsletter dedicated to teaching and educating you on LinkedIn tips, LinkedIn updates, and LinkedIn advice, right? And this is my newsletter. And I love it. And again, that way, when I write my newsletter, it's engaging specific people that really want to learn about LinkedIn tips and updates. So if that makes sense, drop a Y or a yes in the chat box. Yeah, wine educator is great. I mean, Marlia is phenomenal, an outstanding client that I had the pleasure of coaching and working with, and she is the real deal. So again, you want to come up with in my buddy Mark's case, it could be, cybersecurity and keeping your information safe online. That could be a great newsletter title for him because that's what Mark focuses on. He focuses on cybersecurity and online protection. So again, anyone that wants to learn about all of those things. So if you have a health and wellness background, right? Healthy recipes and snack ideas. So again, the health and wellness newsletter, whatever it is, you need to start branding yourself to get that recognition and visibility. So that's number one. Number two, the benefit to having a LinkedIn newsletter is that it grows each and every week through push notifications and direct emails from LinkedIn. This is one of the most beautiful things that LinkedIn actually does. So when you start your newsletter, this is the incredible thing. So if you go on LinkedIn and you click write an article and you can see that you have the option now to start a newsletter, you hit create a newsletter, you create a title of that newsletter, you put an image, which it could be your picture, and then a description of what the newsletter is going to be about. And then they'll ask you the frequency, which there's 4 options for frequency: daily, weekly, bi-weekly, and monthly. Daily is too much of a commitment. I would suggest either weekly or bi-weekly because that's enough traction. If you're just doing a monthly newsletter, there's going to be someone within your space that's either going to do it weekly or bi-weekly, and it's going to drown your information out. So you do want to select weekly or bi-weekly. So if that's clear, drop a Y or a yes in the chat box just so I know. If you've come on late, again, please do say hi and where you're tuning in from. Tag some people. Share this video. Hashtag live if you're on live. Hashtag replay if you're watching on the replay. And again, if anyone would like to talk about taking one of the last 3 remaining spots of our Expert Authority group coaching program for this year, drop an I would like to talk in the comments and we will set up a conversation. So again, you want to make sure that you understand the bigger picture of this. Now, so here's the deal. So when you create this newsletter, there's going to be 2 options at the bottom. LinkedIn will automatically, upon your request, they will send an invitation to subscribe to your newsletter to every single connection that you have. Every single one. And there's no penalty for that. So if you have 10,000 connections, they are going to send out. That's why I've always talked about the importance of constantly growing your network on LinkedIn, right? Because you can grow a huge network very, very quickly in a very streamlined way. Now, the good thing is you don't get penalized for that. So LinkedIn will email out. Well, they'll send an invitation request to subscribe to Delroy's newsletter called XYZ. And you will get hundreds of subscribers like that. Now, the second thing that LinkedIn does is every time, this is going to blow your mind. Every time LinkedIn, every time you write a newsletter, LinkedIn will actually send out a push notification. And they'll do this one of 2 ways. A, they'll send a push notification via the notification section on LinkedIn, so that little bell at the top, and it'll say, hey, Shirley Miller just wrote a new newsletter, check it out. So every subscriber, every connection in your network will be notified that you've released a new newsletter. That's why it's so important to make sure that you are consistent doing your newsletters either weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or daily. Again, I recommend weekly or bi-weekly. Now, here's the other amazing part. So we talked about building those connections online to offline. Now, back in the day, what I'll tell you is that LinkedIn actually used to allow you to download all of your connections and their emails from LinkedIn. So people could literally, if they had 20,000 connections, they could download a whole CSV file, so an Excel sheet that had every single connection and their email. But what people were doing is they were taking those emails and importing them into some sort of CRM and starting to email all of them, which went against GDPR regulations, and people were getting fined and sued for that. So what LinkedIn did was you can still download all your contacts, but without an email address. So the big problem is people are like, well, how can I connect with people offline via email if I can't download their emails anymore? Here's what you can do in a very compliant way, following the GDPR regulations. In addition to LinkedIn sending out the push notification. LinkedIn sends an email to every single person that subscribes in a newsletter form. So I have 5,100 subscribers in 8 weeks of my newsletter. Every Friday when my newsletter comes out, LinkedIn emails all 5,100 of those people my newsletter to view. And here's what it looks like. So let me just show you really quickly before I answer the questions. Watch this. So this is what it looks like. So Friday, someone that is a subscriber of my newsletter will get something like this. It'll say the best ways to stop getting spam messages. This was from my newsletter. Says the newsletter in the name. And here it is. It's all right here. Now, the cool thing is people can click join the conversation and that will reroute them to LinkedIn. They could share it via their email list. They can share it on LinkedIn. They can share it to Facebook. They can tweet it out. So now you're getting more organic engagement because of the sheer fact that now LinkedIn is actually emailing all of those individuals. Now, JP said you may answer this, but if it's sending a notification for each issue to all the connections, what's the difference for subscribers? So again, for the subscribers, they get the notification and they get an email. Not everybody in your network, JP, is going to see it. Your subscribers are notified via the notification, push notification that you've released a new newsletter. But also, if you're a first connection or a follower of that person's profile, that will also appear there. But there's an extra layer of connection via what I'm showing you right now, which is that direct email from LinkedIn to your subscriber. So if that makes sense, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat box. Again, if you're coming on late, hi and where you're tuning in from, tag some people, share this video, #live or #replay. And again, we have 3 spots left in our year-long group coaching program and mastermind called Expert Authority, where we teach people how to become the expert authority in their space all this year. Just drop an I would like to talk in the comments if you would like to talk about claiming one of those last 3 spots. So again, the benefit of having this newsletter is now it's getting pushed out to so many people. But the final thing that I want to share with you, and I'm going to show this to you again, is if you are to add a call to action, that will lead people somewhere outside of that newsletter. So if you have a call to action to schedule a call or download my free infograph or sign up for our free webinar or join our program, someone clicks on that link in the newsletter, it's a way to build properly through GDPR regulations. You can build your email list to nurture and build connections offline. And IC said, yes, email is good direct connection than just a notification. Absolutely. Now, this is the big thing. When you write a newsletter, because it's being emailed out to your subscribers. Now, if you put a call to action, say, visit my website here, right? Or download something here, or join my email list here, and you have a little link for them to do so. On LinkedIn, when they're reading that newsletter, the hyperlink is not going to appear. It's just going to be just a regular link that is unclickable. But because it's a newsletter, and LinkedIn emails it out, right? So I'm going to show you the difference. So I'm going to pull up the newsletter and then I'm going to pull up the email just to kind of show you the difference in how powerful it is to have that call to action. So watch this. So when you are putting that call to action on LinkedIn and someone goes to the bottom of this newsletter. So here are the calls to action, right? They're not clickable. They would actually have to highlight, copy, and then paste it into their browser in order to do so. Now, on the flip side of that, if you put that call to action and because LinkedIn is sending it out to all of the subscribers, again, they're going to receive an email from LinkedIn. And instead of it looking like the way that it does on LinkedIn, watch what happens. At the end, there are your calls to action. So people can actually click on these right from that email that LinkedIn is sending them. So GDPR regulation wise, it's completely fine because they are taking the action of clicking, downloading, and adding their email, which will allow you to organically grow your email list compliantly by leveraging LinkedIn newsletters. So if that makes sense, type a Y or a yes in the chat box. That's why I do WordPress, but can't get their email. So yes, I like to know LinkedIn does this too. Yeah, absolutely. So if that makes sense, drop a Y or a yes in the chat box. If you've come on late, hi and where you're tuning in from, or hashtag live, hashtag replay if you are watching the replay. But don't forget, make sure you engage in this video. Like, love, insightful, care, support, whatever emojicon you want to use with the video so you are notified when I do go live every Monday and Thursday between 10 and 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the big thing about newsletters, again, number one, a LinkedIn newsletter will build your brand and business recognition and visibility if you do it on a consistent basis, which I recommend either weekly or bi-weekly. It grows each and every week through those push notifications and emails. So every subscriber is going to be notified every time that you write a new newsletter via the push notifications on LinkedIn and the email, which I just showed you. But beyond all of that, if you want to start building your email list outside of social media, which is so important, LinkedIn allows you to put a call to action in those newsletters. So when it's emailed out, people can GDPR regulation wise click on whatever link or whatever offering you have, subscribe to your email list, download your infograph, schedule a call, and it's a way to get people from online to offline into your email list so you can nurture and build those connections. So again, I hope everyone enjoyed this training. You found it value added. Love and gratitude to each and every one of you. And again, remember, the doors to our year-long Expert Authority program close on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you would like to join and take one of the remaining 3 spots that we have, all you have to do is either send me a direct message, send me an email, or type in the comments, I would like to talk, and we can schedule a time to talk. So everyone, please enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, everyone.